You can hear.
With that work. That's good. I pull up.
Built out. It
Which
just seemed like what yeah. He thinks that's for sale.
I looked at Casey and I said,
You know,
well,
that's
gets pretty smart because he knows how dangerous you are. I'm sorry. He better come prepared. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, good. Doing good. I'm not expecting the rain this afternoon. It's okay. Now they only it did. They came
Dave was at the restaurant. He's good.
Oh, really?
I said, send it to him. I can't do no concrete.
I thought you were the concrete man.
Right. It's hard to say. That's what I was going to call him. Ask him to do something. Finally got it.
He's one in that.
I mean, purely inundated. And I know it comes from.
I call him.
Hey,
Maybe that's a legacy property.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the
Is this the public comment speaking thing? Do we need to put anything besides our name?
see, even just
Commissioner Clark.
Matthew.
Hey, Danny.
I knew that last week was asked to keep.
Yeah, I got you.
Danny Clark. She wants to know what she needs to put down on the public forums. Just her name.
I mean, you know where to find it.
Over here with that.
Oh, I'm gonna sit right here beside that. You let that? And these nice fancy chairs, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Mike's got
Go to
that.
sleep in that. What I was looking for. Is this right?
No, it's solid waste. If you
No,
want
no.
Get you some. Yeah, get you some. Got all kinds of things we can. Oh, show
You don't stay. No, that's, I've done that. And I didn't certify.
It's getting a little better.
Good.
You always got a picture, you don't ever.
Yeah, it's got it. What you got? You got 27?
Yeah, as soon as I get logged into my Zoho,
27 years would be good for the last three.
I should be good.
It's all right. That's what he goes for.
That's great.
But it's time to start the public safety meeting. You can call the roll, Madam Secretary.
Danny Clark,
Here.
Mike Wynn Thomason, Wally McNair, Dusty Jordan,
Here.
Keith Nash,
Here.
Devin Pickard,
Here.
Matthew Barnhill,
Here.
Ricky Murray,
Here.
Steve Janakis,
Here.
Carla Moore,
Here.
Ron Mayberry, Claude Calicott,
Here.
Todd Collins,
Here.
Clay Chester here. 11 present, 3 absent.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Who was the second?
Mr. Collins.
Okay.
All those in favor of the agenda as it is, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next order of business is a public comment period. Ms. Bates, you're the only one that signed up.
I'm not scared of y'all, I guess. So I missed my chance on discussing this previously, and I should have contacted my commissioners prior to the original vote. But since it's back on the agenda, I wanted to discuss Lanita's coming from the point of view of my career, which was environmental consulting, and I was a specialist at above ground and underground storage tanks. I don't know this answer, and maybe y'all haven't looked into it either, but one of the things that struck me was that it has gas tanks out there. And they're old-looking gas tanks in the gas tank system, and the life of a gas tank is about 20 years before they start leaking and have to be replaced. That's a massive liability to take on without doing a little bit of question asking. Have they ever been tested for leaks? What's the history of those tanks? What's the cost of replacing them? Because if the benefit is, hey, look, we have gas tanks out here for our ambulance service, and then it costs us another $100,000 as taxpayers to replace that or more if they get in there and start digging up and the ground's contaminated because they're old tanks. I just think that that's a question that should be asked as preliminary to be purchasing, because in my world, that's what we had to do. That's what I went and did, was drill around tanks and make sure that a company coming in to buy a new property was not purchasing a liability of contamination or picking on old tanks. Thanks.
That was the only person that signed up for the public comment period. The next item on the agenda is the adoption of the minutes from the May 6th meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Collins, seconded by Commissioner Jordan. Now, as customary, we'll do the reports from the department heads. You want to start, Sheriff?
If they want to go, I'm here all evening, if they want to go ahead and go.
I've already got you pulled up. Now, come on.
We go ahead and go. Everything should be in the minutes or the report we sent out. 3 vehicles that we did add for possible going surplus to get rid of. They're high mileage vehicles, starting to have mechanical problems. Last month we've 1,271 calls for service, I believe what it was. And we did secure another $15,000 grant for, it's a violent crime grant, which pays for overtime for our officers when they're dealing with dangerous drugs. So that'll be going in from July 1st. I'm sure. So I think it's the second or third one of those that we've received. So. Also too, and I think Mr. Limegood will speak to it as well. We did purchase a vehicle a couple weeks ago. I was looking at putting it in the SRO division and retiring one of our vehicles that's kind of have some issues with. This vehicle is right now equipped with all red lights, and it's going to cost us a little bit of money to swap those out. It's probably got $6,000 worth of emergency equipment on it that it sets. And I actually spoke to a while ago, they're having some problems with one of their vehicles. I don't know how old that one y'all have is. 90s. It's a 1990s model vehicle that they're currently using. And we discussed this with Alan and with finance. If they would just return our money back to us, that we would give them that vehicle, and all they have to do is put their emblem on the side of it. They'll be ready to go. So I think he's working on getting that done, probably come to budget next week. So, but that's all I have. If you have any questions.
We need a motion. Sorry. We need a motion to move those vehicles to surplus.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Motion to move the sheriff's vehicle in surplus by Mr. Giannakis, second by Mr. Barnhill. I guess we'll roll call that.
Danny Clark.
Yes.
Michael Wayne's absent, Wally's absent. Dusty Jordan.
Yes.
Keith Nash.
Yes.
Devin Pickard.
Yes.
Matthew Barnhill. Ricky Murray.
Yes.
Steve Giannakis.
Yes.
Carla Moore.
Yes.
Ron Mayberry. Absent. Paul Calcott.
Yeah, yes.
Todd Collins.
Yes.
Clay Chesser.
Yes.
11 yes, 3 absent.
Alan?
With that, our handout to you there, excuse me. We don't have a lot going on, other than financials. In April, we ran 247 runs. Total number of billable runs was 171. Collections, $85,022.24. Charges were $163,603. And those are our numbers. Would like to take a vote on those?
Make a motion to accept or approve,
Motion to approve the ambulance services financial statements by Commissioner Collins, seconded by Commissioner Jordan. That'll need a roll call too, Beth.
All right, Danny Clark,
Yes.
Michael Wayne absent, Molly absent, Dusty Jordan,
yes.
Keith Nash,
Yes.
Devin Pickard,
Yes.
Matthew Barnhill,
Yes.
Ricky Murray,
Yes.
Steve Janakis.
Yes.
Carla Moore,
Yes.
Ron Mayberry absent, Claude Calcott.
Yes.
Todd Collins,
Yes.
Clay Chester.
Yes.
11 yes, 3 absent.
Only other thing I have was just following up what the sheriff said. We'll be bringing budget to the budget meeting, purchasing that vehicle through the budget. And that's all I have.
Would you like to go, Amanda?
Yes, sir. So our call volume was down for this month. It's already started to pick back up since we've done this report. Financials are in there. Reports a lot of time. Hourly wise, we were updated twice during the month of May due to severe weather and keeping an eye on that. Biggest damage was during the first storm, and that was to utilities up on the north end side of the county. The second system that came in was predominantly hail damage. That was done to the east end, northern east end of the county towards Bon Aqua. A lot of vehicles, roofs, stuff like that. Took some major hail damage. So those were our two systems that's come in. Hopefully we're not expecting anything major in the next week or so. The other thing is TEMA and FEMA have approved our hazardous mitigation plan. It's 5 years is what it's good for. You can go in and amend it at any time, add stuff, take away stuff, so your projects that you're wanting to do. Just remember that this is a 15% cost share with FEMA, so anything thinking mitigation-wise, storm shelters, weather radios, roadways, utilities, burying them underground, stuff like that, that's where this plan comes into play. What I will need from you all, I emailed it because it's like 212 pages long and we were fighting car fires today, so we didn't print it all. So I emailed it to everyone just a little bit ago, so that way you see what it looks like and what it is. But I will need, if possible, 2 sponsors for this because I'll need a resolution to send it up to FEMA for final approval. But the plan itself has been approved. So that's where we're at with that one. If all possible, I'd like to have this finalized and the resolution done by the end of this month so we can go ahead and get that going because we're a little behind the 8 ball with this plan to begin with. Let me see, our county's basic emergency operation plan expires at the end of this year. So predominantly TEMA will come in July, August time to help us. They used to more or less just write the plan for us, like I told you beforehand, they no longer do that anymore. So they'll come in and sit with us, make sure we've got all of our ducks in a row, but that'll start taking meeting places come July or August. That's normally when the local emergency planning committee meets as well. So we're trying to bring as many partners to the table as possible with the basic emergency operations plan. The other thing is we rented the confined space trailer from the Tennessee Fire Association, the Chiefs Association, for the month, this past month. Pretty much all the fire departments got to get use out of it. So I know there's some videos going around on social media and stuff, but it was a very good benefit. We even sent one of the canines through the trailer. It did great, by the way. So yeah, that's where we're at. What's going on?
I would suggest, I'll sponsor the resolution if you, for one of the sponsors, but to get with Noel on when it needs to get a number and when it needs to be in so it can be in the packet.
Yes, sir.
That's usually the Wednesday before the 4th Monday of the week, of the month.
And I got with Noel in the mayor's office about that. There's already one row. All we have to do is put Hickman and the numbers into it. So it's generic base plan, so that way y'all can look at it. Like I said, y'all have the plan emailed to you. If you need a hard copy, we'll get you one. Like I said, it's a lot of pages.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're up, Mr. Maintenance.
I have nothing other than what's in my report unless you have questions for me.
I don't. I believe the mayor looks like he wants to say something.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Amanda covered the hazmat mitigation. I had given you guys a connected community facilities paperwork, right in the middle of all the budget. If you don't have it, I'll be glad to print you off another one. What it was a grant for the library, the public library. And it is a 10% match. It can go up to $2 million. So that would be a $200,000 match for the county. And it will enhance not only the library space, make the room over there bigger for archives. There's 3 sections that we have to cover. One of them's education, one of them's jobs. The American Job Center is willing to come down there to the library at least once a month. And there's some healthcare things that have to be in there also, which they're talking about doing the teledoc thing and putting a blood pressure machine in down there and everything if we can get this grant. The grant is a quick thing, is why I brought it to your attention earlier. It's July. I think it's like the 15th of July is when we have to turn the paperwork in for the grant. All this happened pretty quick. We just got the information on it when I gave it to you guys that day and lady. I just have to have a resolution saying, yes, we're going to proceed with it, or no, we're not. Either way. So I won't take any questions over that. I spoke about I-40 interchange and Highway 50. They want to make it bigger and broader. They want to put lights up at that, I'm going to call it an intersection for the time being, but that exchange, and they want Hickman County to pay the light bill. That's going to be right at about $500 a month. They're going to put up LED lights on the poles. And TDOT is covering 100% of the construction. It doesn't cost the county anything other than the light bill after they get them up. If we vote no, I guess there's no lights. Ma'am.
It's okay?
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell me exactly where this is? I know you said interchange. Exactly where are we, what are we talking
It's
about?
Interstate 40.
I know
and
40
Highway
and 50.
West.
You're talking just right there? How long, how deep, how far back are we coming back toward Centerville? How long is this piece?
It's just right there at the interstate. They're
So it's
just
just
talking
that
about
section?
making the interstate, the off-ramp bigger, the on-ramp bigger.
That's the only piece?
Yeah, and then there was one road, Matt, you can help me out here if you, there's one road that they said they was gonna take care of right there on the other side of the interstate.
Where Highway 50 turns into,
Dyer Road.
Dyer Road, there you go.
they were gonna have to encroach on it some and
Yes.
things like that.
But they said they would fix the beginning of that, so. So if that happens, I need a resolution for that as well.
And is there a date we need to have this approved? Say, yes, we will do this, to talk about it, vote on it? Has TDOT called, said, hey, we need to know by X?
The contractors that's actually on it is through TDOT.
Yes, I said TDOT. Mhm.
Okay, sorry.
You thought I said TDOT?
Yes, ma'am, I did. Sorry.
Everybody's stuck on TDOT.
Anyway, they sent me an email, just wanting it as quick as possible. This is a 3-year project. This is nothing that's gonna happen overnight. This is gonna be 3 years down the road by the time they're done with it. So I think we got time.
We got time to make the decision, but we're talking about paying a bill in perpetuity, forever.
Forever, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And they think it's $500 a month.
Yes, it's right around $450, $500 a month. I just said 500 because that's on the highway.
Okay.
And it all is LED lighting. The county would be responsible for changing the lights if they do burn out. But the posts that they're putting up, it doesn't take any specialized equipment. Matt can probably explain this better than I can. They retract down so you can change the bulb and put it back up. Kind of crazy, I know, because most of the ones I've ever seen are concrete, so.
Okay.
Well, in your discussion with TDOT, did they say why they're doing this?
They're doing that to the two interchanges. They did not specifically say why they were doing it. The state had money left over, is what we were told. And they said that they was to expand that intersection, that exchange, and the next one down, which is in Humphreys County, which I'm Highway 13. Yes. No.
Go ahead, Keith.
No, go ahead, I got mine.
I mean, there's a whole lot of difference between Highway 13 and Highway 50. I'd love for Highway 50 to look like Highway 13. Is there anybody, did TDOT say that anyone's expressed some kind of interest to bring some sort of commercial, retail? I mean, obviously, if it's well lit, it's more conducive. But, I mean, is there anything that they're thinking? That the fact that they're mentioning both of those two interchanges in the same sentence is kind of interesting.
They didn't specify, Commissioner, that there was anything in the makings of coming there. They just stated that the governor said, make them bigger.
So, I mean, obviously, we would all love a Buc-ee's to show up, but,
Well, that's right.
but, I mean, but no,
I did kid with him.
and I did shop at Buc-ee's last week, so I'm gonna put my 2 cents worth in.
I did ask him if that's what was coming, and they just kind of laughed at me.
So, but there's no inclination that there's anything out there, but certainly something like this would be conducive if somebody.
It would be conducive to that, for somebody that's looking for property.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's what, 13, there's a lot of difference. So, so the $500 is the electric bill that we'd have to tackle forever. And then but we would also be responsible for the maintenance, is what you're saying.
Just replacing the bulbs in it, yes.
Okay, all right. So, is that, I'm just asking, is that the contract that other counties and or municipalities have with
Yes.
TDOT?
Yes,
So if I go up to 172,
it should be Dixon's.
the city of Dixon is responsible for the maintenance of those lights?
Yes,
Really?
they should be. I can't guarantee that,
Okay.
that specifically Dixon.
Yeah.
But what we was told in the meeting with TDOT, that they do this quite often with counties.
I understand, I just don't want to be treated differently. So if, when does this have to be, we have to have an answer on this?
Noel, do you remember? I'm sorry. They said soon, even though it's going to be a 3-year project.
So, do you have a point of contact with TDOT?
Yes.
So would it be outside of the realm of you talking to those people and asking them a couple of questions? The first question I'd have is there any expressed interest at the interchange that they're aware of? They don't have to get specific. I mean, they don't have to spell Buc-ee's. They can just spell, okay, I'm just teasing. And then I think the other question would be, is this ongoing maintenance agreement consistent with other communities? And I'd like to know those two. I mean, I think that's legit questions. And but that, based on those, I'm happy to go do something. But I would like to know those answers. I think those two questions at a minimum. And somebody else makes some other questions. I don't know. I'm like Carla. I don't mind doing this, but it's $500 forever.
Right.
And it ain't gonna be $500 in 10 years from now.
I just made a note, it's 500 now.
Yeah, it's $500 now. So who knows what's gonna be done? And we do ballparks. I mean, it's not like this is a big deal, but at the same time, I'd like to, you know,
Well,
if somebody
it
else
is-
is being treated differently.
It is an added expense to the county, I
Yeah.
understand. And like you said, I can find that out probably first thing in the
Yeah,
morning.
those would be the two questions. Could you email the committee?
Absolutely,
Thank you.
I'll be glad to.
How far do we own across the interstate? How
That's
far
a good
does
question.
Hickman County go on that side?
Oh, miles, hey.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
Plenty
gonna
of
say
room.
about 2 miles.
You can't go
Plenty of
wrong.
room to build.
Plenty of room out there. And I was joking with them, to answer your question. I said, is there Buc-ee's coming that I don't know about? And they kinda laughed, and we left it at that.
But how did
They're
that?
not coming in.
It's gonna be the paper next week,
Oh, yeah, please don't put that on there.
Oh, yeah, really?
That's, when you're asking the questions, and where we're talking about, is about 2 miles from my house, and so I would love, it'd be great, but especially if the Buc-ee's was coming, I'd be, we would be.
Lunchtime every day,
I mean,
baby.
it's the greatest place to live, it'd really be the greatest place to live if a Buc-ee's showed. But, the interchange that is at Bucksnort, the interchange at Highway 50 that's close to my house, I mean, it is, they lengthened it a couple of years ago. It's much safer than it was. The exchange at Bucksnort is dangerous.
Horrible.
It is dangerous. I mean, it's the way that you come up on the interstate, you cannot see, traffic coming. It is dangerous. And, I'm not trying to tell TDOT how to do their job.
Right.
But if they've got money to spend to expand that, again, and I like I said, I'm 2 miles from the one we're talking about, it'd be great. I'd have the glow of the prison on one side, the glow of the interstate on the other. It would be magical. But, as far as safety goes, if they could lengthen that one at Bucksnort, that would be tremendous. It's dangerous. That's where a lot of the wrecks are. I'm sure all that, they know that.
Yeah, it's a short on-ramp right there.
It's real short, and then you better get ready, and so, but again, I'm sure you know how to approach them. It's not like, because they probably think they're helping the county out with what they're doing on Highway 50, so, I don't know if, when it comes to safety and the interchanges that are in Hickman County, the Bucksnort one is.
It's the worst by far.
It is, so, but Buc-ee's is coming.
Oh, it's not coming. Don't worry about that.
It doesn't have to be Buc-ee's. I'll take something, I don't know what Buc-ee's little brother is.
The mayor did not say that.
You don't have to worry.
Any other questions on the interchange?
You mentioned this to me the other day, and I pointed out to you, electricity is the only infrastructure that's out there. There's no natural gas, there's no water, that's it. So, if those lights do draw bulbs, there's gonna be somebody standing in front of us again wanting some more money. I don't know if that's the right way to look at it or not, but if we pay the light bill on those lights and they attract something, there's somebody else who's gonna walk in here, wanting water run out there. And at least the Bucksnort exit produces, sales tax revenue. The Highway 50 exit doesn't produce any. I'm not saying I'm against it, I'm just, don't want to get in trouble for not asking enough questions about this proposal. I think Claude and I are in the same state of Tennessee. You can spend that money better at Bucksnort. And I agree with that, on because of the infrastructure and everything, but that's something for you to talk to them about if you can.
Absolutely.
That's all I got on that.
Anybody else on the interchange? All right, I will, you can be looking for an email, I will have it to you sometime tomorrow morning. Might be late morning, but I'll have it to you. The only other thing that I have, at the last meeting, Commissioner Collins asked that we have barriers to go up at the ballpark. down there because of the washout for the creek. Mr. Collins and myself did meet with a fellow that said he could give them to us or let us use them. He was gonna charge us a little higher price than what was allotted for that allotment. So I worked it out with Ronald Coates. He is going down there tomorrow morning to pick up 7 of them that are 10 foot long to put along that creek bank. They will be there tomorrow, by tomorrow late morning on the creek.
Will that cover that won't cover the distance we looked at though, will it?
That's 70 foot that we looked at the other day.
That was,
Yes. So he said 7 of them will cover it. Yes, ma'am.
So once the concrete barriers are up, do we have a plan to actually solve the problem?
We are still working on that with Mr. Taylor. We're still waiting on one of his engineers
Waiting on one of his engineers to do,
to draw us out a plan to send to T-Date for the county.
and we are moving on that.
Yes.
We will have, okay.
Sometimes I might have to light a little fire under him, but we are moving on it.
Okay.
The project that we did on our farm, the erosion control, what this is talking about, took 4 years. Took 4
From
years.
start to finish?
The work took a month. The permit and engineering took basically 4 years. It is extremely frustrating. So just to prepare, surely this won't take.
No, I don't think it's gonna take 4 years.
But
I know Mr. Taylor and I have met
Just so
several
you know.
times. And, you know, he's assured me that as soon as one of his engineers breaks free, he would be on this project.
Because it would continually erode. I mean, I don't know what the concrete barriers would do. First of all, it would stop, it would stop the erosion, I get there, at least as long as until we can get a formal solution to correct for the erosion.
Well, the barriers are just to keep people out right now.
Well, certainly that, because the erosion will still move inland,
Yes,
correct?
yes, ma'am.
The barriers don't do anything to mediate the problem of the erosion.
It's just
That's
stopping
all about
people-
safety. They've got a tournament coming up this week, and kids in the creek, and
It's getting
it's being
closer.
6, 7 foot above the water, it's just,
Commissioner?
And one other question. As heavy as those concrete barriers are, could they sink down too? Could they get caught up in that erosion?
They're gonna put them about 3 feet away from the creek bank.
They'll give us more time to,
Yes.
okay.
I was out there today with Ronald Coates showing him where we needed them, just to keep people out.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
and he'll be able to manipulate the batting cages and everything with that. I mean, that's just, Ronald's looked at it. He's been on site, says he can do it. Okay, that's good enough.
Met with him today.
While we're talking about this, this is not going to be a cheap fix. And it won't last 4 years before it gets into the building. It's there as much as it's eating away. So something to be considering is how we're going to pay for this, what we're willing to spend for this, because there is a lot of erosion and it's in a high traffic area. So it's right behind their concession stand and batting cage, and not very far from the edge of the football field. It's gonna need attention as quickly as we can give it.
Have we
Go.
had somebody look at that and price it out?
There was you want to take that?
I can. I had approached Mr. Taylor about this, who helps the highway department with their erosion problems on the road. He gave me a rough number of about $25,000, and he said he didn't know for sure if that's what it would be. But to get it fixed, he said that's in the ballpark.
And that includes the engineering? The engineering?
That's
department?
everything. He said that was the entire job.
Okay.
You talked to, I met with you down there, and we met with an engineering firm, and they come back with,
With a $90,000 bill
to write, just to do the engineering.
just to do the engineering on it.
So which is it?
No,
We met with a different firm,
Oh, one firm
and
said
one firm
25.
wanted $90,000 just to engineer the project. Mr. Taylor said the whole job should be about $25,000.
Okay.
And it's his engineer that's gonna help us devise a plan to, send to TDEC.
that, I'm trying to be clear on this, Jim. I know because I've had a conversation with you. Mr. Taylor's not charging us for the engineering.
No, sir.
That, the 25,000 is his, estimate of doing it. The way he sees it needs to be engineered. All that's contingent on TDEC accepting Mr. Taylor's engineering. Now, if he has to re-engineer it, he could jump up pretty quick if they don't accept his engineering.
I get that, thank you.
Mr. Calicut?
You answered it.
Kevin?
I know this is a what if, but I'm not talking May 2010 flood, but I'm not familiar with where this is at. I need to look at it, but where the barriers are going to be put. If we had a significant flood at any time to come through there, would those barriers, would the erosion be such that the barriers could be just washed away? Does that make sense?
That's almost an impossible question to answer.
But I mean, I it's possible.
I mean, anything's possible.
Right.
In 2010, I had a 300-year oak tree sitting in the middle of a football
Yeah,
field.
sure.
So, I mean, I
It's a
don't know how to
short-term
answer
fix,
that.
obviously.
This is a short-term fix until
Yeah.
we can get it engineered to get it done correctly.
Yeah, okay.
This is just to keep people out of it.
Yeah.
Because it is quite a bit of a drop right there.
It is.
It's probably 7-8 foot down.
It is.
Anybody else? That's all I have, Commissioners. Thank you.
Well, according to the agenda, that brings us to the after-action review of proposed Lanita's purchase. Carla, you asked for this, so,
You want to open?
If you want to, sure.
Well, Devin and I both had conversation after the vote on Tuesday night. Well, actually, what happened, and I'll swing to you, then I'll go back. But once we made the vote about this purchase, we thought it was done. We thought it was a great deal. It still do, honestly. I mean, no one is saying we don't want this in Pinewood. What happened Wednesday morning, for the next 6 days, and actually through the weekend, the inundation of phone calls, text, email, text messages, it has been nonstop from constituents, realtors, small business owners, neighbors, about what are you all really doing down there? And there's a lot of questions that even I couldn't answer. So tonight, guys, I wanted to have a conversation. I said, and I was asking Devin, are you getting this? And so we thought maybe we should have a bit more discussion around the comfortability of this purchase, because there are questions that are coming that I couldn't answer. And so I'll come back and I'll give Devin a moment, if it's okay. Okay.
We appreciate you putting it on the agenda for one. And we're not trying to drag this out at all. If you played sports, or if you were ever in a school play, or if you did some type of a big business deal, that may or may not have gone how you wanted it to go. Generally on Monday, if you played sports, you go to the film room and you look at the previous game and you Monday morning quarterback this event. And you say, well, what did we do good? And you hope there's a lot of that. But what did we do that wasn't so good? And how can we do that better next time? And there are times I feel like, I can only speak for me. My wife and I had significant marriage counseling early on, and I was told, you can only speak for myself, not for my wife or my commission wife or any of you. But you know, there are times when I feel like we should ask for forgiveness for asking so many questions, because we are new. This is new to Commissioner Moore and I, and we do ask a lot of questions, and we get a lot of feedback. And one of the things that I tend to do, probably more than anybody, and I understand that a lot here don't understand this, I seek to be as transparent as I can be in my personal life, as a pastor, restaurant owner, commissioner. And I tend to do that oftentimes, even online. I will ask questions. For instance, during this very difficult budget season that we had, I asked some questions. Many citizens seem to think they know what we ought to do. So I'm like, tell us what it is. Give us an opportunity. Now I get that not everybody's on Facebook. I get all that completely. I even said, I'm going to leave my proposed budget book at my restaurant. Any citizen, come look at it, highlight it, tell us what you think, where we need to cut. Where should we do that? To my knowledge, nobody came. And we all understand how this works. Nobody gets wound up until there's a decision made, whether there was foresight in the forethought or foresight in the decision or not. So as we look back on this process, I'll tell you that night when, so I remember when it was brought up to the commission that Lanitas would be possibly for sale. Made all the sense in the world to me. It's in a good location. This is where we need, there's no doubt about it. The experts have said we need the ambulance station there. I think it's great. Got no problem with Lanitas as the place for it whatsoever. But it was mentioned that it was a possibility, and please help me because my recollection is not as good, and I missed a meeting or two in there. But it was brought up that there was a possibility that it was for sale. That's great. We adjourned, moved on. And then, to my knowledge, I'm sure there were other discussions that were had, and oftentimes I know that maybe I'm not in those circles, and that's fine. But the next thing I know is the last time that we were together, it's mentioned that, you know, it's for sale. The price tag is $950,000. We need a motion, we need a second, discussion, let's vote. And to me, it may not have happened that fast, but to me it was a boom, boom, boom. And furthermore, you know, I was used to, this is neither here nor there, but my name had been at the end during the budget stuff of voting, and all of a sudden I was like second. I'm like, oh no. I don't think I've got the right information to make a reasonable vote on this. And so I voted yes, right? Now, looking back on it, it wouldn't have mattered had I voted no because there was a majority of yes votes. My no vote would have been not because I don't think Lanitas is a good property. Those folks have served that community well at that establishment. None of that, even in my mind, and I'm not a real estate person at all, I'm thinking, gosh, that seemed awful fast. Why are we rushing it? Have we done, I know we've done some due diligence, but had we done enough? And then, so in the days following that, as Commissioner Moore has said, and maybe some of you have received some, surely we're not the only ones. Maybe we are. And we have a certain social media presence, so maybe we see some things that some of y'all don't. Now let me say this, by the way. Someone said to me, well, you don't need to let Facebook posts and social media negativity influence you and cause you to, listen, I've been a pastor, I've owned a restaurant for over 30 years. I've been in the restaurant business for over 30 years, owned one for 24. I've gotten my share of negativity. I've gotten my share of people accusing me of this and saying that, and I have tended, and certainly at this age in my life, I don't knee-jerk react to that. Most of the time it just slides off. We have heard more about this particular situation, I believe Commissioner Moore can agree, than we even did the Lick Creek situation. And we all know how significant that was. There have been people coming by the restaurant every day. What's going on? Why are we doing this? Read in the paper, blah, blah, blah. Now, I will take some responsibility for the 233.5 number. Because I asked, Mr. Delton, what's the appraisal? Well, we understand. And I get it that people on Facebook and out here in the land don't, you know, they hear the number 233.5 and go, well, that's what it's worth. Well, we know that's not what it's worth. We understand that. And so maybe me asking for that number and it was published in the paper give folks the idea that that's what we should be given for that property. We know that's not accurate. That's not the real worth of that business. Now, the real worth of that business, if we were buying that business to continue to run it, shoot, it might be $2 million. That's a really good business. But for our purposes, and here's what I'm doing. A couple of things. Someone on this commission told me when I first became a commissioner, and they were exactly right. Give me advice. And they said, whenever you sit down in that chair, and whenever you vote, I don't care how you vote, but you need to be able to explain to the citizens of your district and that county, you need to explain why you voted that way. And I've never forgotten that. And so I'm having a difficult time explaining to the people who are messaging me. I'm like, you know what? I've got to say that I don't know. And that's somewhat, that's not good. I should know. I should ask more questions. I should have been better prepared for that vote. And so what we are doing, and Commissioner Moore will do it hers in just a moment, there's almost not been a commissioner here that in the over whatever years we've been a commissioner, I've been a commissioner, that I've not heard at least one time from almost all of us is, well, my constituents in my district have told me this, and so this is how I'm going to vote. I'm supposed to be their voice. I'm supposed to be reflective of their thoughts. And so to that point, I think I can only speak for me, that's why I wanted to have this discussion tonight, because a lot of the folks that, I say a lot, it's been a bunch. Why'd y'all do that? Doesn't seem like it's worth that. Gosh, I'll sell my property if it's worth that. That kind of thing. And so I understand this has been a frustrating process from the mayor, one bid, whatever, 3 million, whatever it was. Certainly for Mr. Wiley, who is so passionate about his community as he should be, that's got to be frustrating. And I get that we got to a point, hey, let's just get this done. We've got a building, good building seems to be, could work for our purposes, going to have to renovate a little bit, going to come in at budget or under, it's ARPA money, it's not any tax dollars. That all sounds great. I'm not arguing with that at all. But the dilemma that I find myself in is having to explain why we're giving $950 for a piece of property that may not be worth that. And not even so much that, but just, did y'all do the work to come to that number? Did you have a proper appraisal? Did you do the due diligence and maybe we did. Maybe we did, and maybe I was just out of the loop, or I wasn't paying attention at that point in the meeting. Because I asked Wiley, well, how did we come up with that number? And he said, well, that's what they're asking. And I'll be honest, in my mind, I'm like, name the soul sitting at any of these tables that will sell or buy anything at asking price, probably. Now, maybe worth that. Maybe it is. And I think my frustration is just, and what I'm hearing from the folks that are contacting us is, did you go through the process like you did? The Harvard building is a good example. Did we do that? Did we research? Did we look at the things? To Ms. Bates' question, I don't know the answer to that. And maybe y'all do. And maybe you can say, Devin, look, you just were asleep that meeting. We discussed all that. You just need to pay attention. And I will accept that, because that could be true. And so I just want to be able to leave this meeting. I'm tickled to death to get a new, there's no question that the good Lord knows that Alan is working hard and doing what he can. And we want to be good stewards, yes, of our money, of our opportunities. This is a good opportunity, no question about it. And so I know that we are all on the same team here. It's not anybody against anybody. We all want what's best for this community. I know this. And so I guess I just need to be educated more on the process of how we came to that number. And if not, what should we do if anything? And I don't know if I verbalized it very well, but that I probably have more, but that's enough for now. So I'll yield to Ms. Moore.
Thank you. Mine is certainly, my concerns align with Devin's. However, there's a bit of a little different angle in that Just as he says, I own the fact that I didn't do as much research and question asking as I should have, as I normally do. People call me the queen of questions, and I didn't have as many questions as I should have for a $1 million vote. I did not have what I should have. And so I own that piece. But I also didn't know what I didn't know. So what started to happen was Wednesday morning, from Wednesday morning till right now, I have learned more about this process, more about what happened in the Harville building purchase that didn't happen here, that I think we could have done some things differently. So for me, the conversation tonight was, if we wanted to have the conversation, I'd love to have, what are the things that we could have done differently that would have infused more transparency in the process, that would have lended more objectivity in the process? Could we have done some of those things differently? I'm not saying there's a right or wrong, but maybe differently as we go forward and buy any other county land. Because you can bet going forward, I know now, and I'll raise my hand to be on that project team. Because not having the information and that I should have, that's on me and I own it. But things like, I keep using the Harville building because it was just recent, it was county property. It wasn't a for sale by owner, but there was a realtor involved. We're not in the real estate business. So in my mind, we handled that. So when the Harville deal came, or the opportunity came, yes, the Harville building had a realtor, they had a listing agent. We also hired a realtor licensee to represent our county's interests. None of us were sitting at that table. We hired, and I've got the purchasing agreement. We had a licensing, it's called, his name, well, you all know who it is. The seller had a representative, and we had one. And that representative checked all the boxes for us to make sure that we went through all the due diligence points that was needed. So for me, yes, I should have known more about it, should have drilled down more. I should have had a deeper understanding of it. 2, I didn't. Started to learn more about it. So 3, I'm here tonight to say, I've learned more, y'all, in the last week than I have in these last couple of meetings we had regarding this. And if someone would like to talk more about how we got here, or answer the questions, how do we do this deal without a hired licensee, like we did with Harville? What made us do that? What made us not use an independent fee appraisal? There's different types of appraisals. So back to your point, I picked up the phone, I called our property assessor's office. Tell me the difference between your appraisal and a private appraisal. My appraisal is called a mass appraisal. It's usually lower, and it's used for tax purposes. An independent fee appraisal is private, and everything is done specifically for selling of property. So someone called me, Carter, so did you get that? What was that number? I don't have that right now. We'll talk through it. So guys, the conversation is, I think that perhaps a conversation, a deeper conversation around the steps and process of how we got here would help with the transparency, the perceived conflicts of interest, the objectivity that we could have layered in and laced in this process, could have helped tamper down some of this. And I'd like to hear if anyone has anything to add to help us through this process as we manage these daily morning, noon, and night outreaches. And I mean at night. Calls nonstop. So this is beyond that's that Facebook group over there. And I want to take a second to say this. On one hand, I think you made the point, but I want to make it my way, if it's okay.
Make it your way.
On one hand, we use our constituents when we need to make our point and to serve our agendas. Well, my constituents say this, and they want this from me. and I vote this way. But then when we have constituents saying something this, where they don't have all the facts, they don't really know that our constituents are valuable or not. Their thoughts and input and impact matters too. And it's not about being influenced by it. There's valid points that are being made in these discussions that I'm having. My throat is sore from the number of calls that are coming in and trying to manage through this process. So, yes, the deal is done, the vote was done. I just wanted to take a moment for us to talk through, could we have done some things differently? Could we have, again, laced in more layers of transparency or objectivity, just to handle and address what could we have foreseen this type of response? This visceral, strong response from the community? Can someone help? Or have some input? You all are my colleagues. We're in this thing together. We're a collective. And when someone says the commission is messing up, the commission is that's me, that's us. That's me too. And so whether or not you've heard these things or whether or not you have not been faced with this barrage of outpouring of contact and touch points from all the, I mean email, phone, text, both phones, my private Facebook. That was found on YouTube. I have a YouTube page I haven't used for years. I have a YouTube note because they found the video and they found my name. And so we are a collective, and I want to ensure that that as we are moving together, that we do move in the best way possible. I enjoy working with each of you. I enjoy learning from you. And I want to ensure that we continue to do good things and that we're doing things in a way that that we all feel good about, that our communities feel good about, and that we can acknowledge if there's something that we need to pause or move or do, we need to talk about those things. And I just think we could have laced in a few more things here. And I've learned this after the vote. So that's why I'm happy to have this moment that you've given us to be able to say this. Or at least to bring this forward. So, am I the only one that's gonna talk, me and Deb?
You still got the floor.
Oh, so I'm dead, so thank you.
Commissioner Jordan?
I don't know about the rest of it, but I only got one contact by Mr. Qualls back there. He sent me a text message. And I'm not really sure what y'all are asking for. If you want us to go back and redo something,
I
don't know the process, or, you know, I don't know if that's the rest of you, how many constituents you had. It sounds like they got hammered pretty hard. Like I said, I only got the one from Mr. Qualls. But, you know, if you want an explanation, then the folks that did the work through it need to answer that, and I think they're willing to.
And ask.
Anybody get the number on that bus?
The mayor had his hand up.
But the mayor would like to speak.
Thank you. I just want to say nobody's probably been hammered in this room more than I have about this whole deal. I owe each of these commissioners an apology. And I apologize from the bottom of my heart because I was not transparent enough. I did not say, hey guys, I'm excusing myself from this deal. However, I did. I did excuse myself from this deal. Remember way back when we was talking about building an ambulance service and it was going to be $3.2 million and we couldn't afford it. I stood right here in this same spot and asked for help, and I got it. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Thank you, Wally McNair, and thank you, Mr. Barney. Sorry, my mind's running here. They stepped up. They helped the mayor find a piece of property. Mr. Clark did come in my office and he told me what he found. What did I say that day to you, Mr. Clark? I'm excusing myself from this deal. And the reason being, I don't mind telling you, my oldest son and Mr. Diamond's daughter are dating. I purposefully excused myself because I know what that would look like. The problem I'm having with is I was not transparent enough to tell all 14 of you. I only told 2. That's on me. I'll eat that one. Any other time, I'd have been all up in the middle of this deal. Not necessarily this one, like it is. The Harville building. I gave this commission regular updates on the Harville building. This is what it's gonna cost, blah, 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 blah. And we went on with the deal. No big deal. I'm not pushing blame on anybody. I'm just getting wore out. I'm getting crucified for something that is partially my fault because I wasn't transparent enough to tell the county commission why I was excusing myself from this. I was in none of those meetings, not one. There sits my maintenance director, there sits my EMS director, and they can tell you and Mr. Clark and Mr. Barnhill, I was not at any of those meetings, not one. So if I was on there, I would have kept an update like I should have, like the mayor's office should, but I was not. So I owe you an apology for not being transparent enough to tell you that from the time we started talking about this. I rest the floor.
Mr. Nash.
I have received an email from Mr. Qualls and a phone call from another realtor. I don't think David would mind me saying David Hutchins, because I'm known for, goodness gracious, longer than I want to remember. When the deal was done, and I'm saying the deal on the other property, and we all met and said, goodness gracious, what are we gonna do? Everybody said, you know, the mayor, I think, represented his situation precisely what he did. Any help. And he got it. I think it was within, gosh, it had to have been within 1 hour. I got 2 phone calls, and that was on a few days later. And that was from Wiley McNair and from Danny Clark, who both basically said the same thing, that there was an opportunity to buy this particular piece of property. I think I said the exact same thing to both of those gentlemen, and it was exactly what the mayor said. I said, if that's a viable option, y'all need to pursue it and just make sure the mayor is not involved, because there is, I'm aware of that personal contact. And so there were numerous conversations that I had with those 2 individuals as the chairman of the body over the next several weeks. I can tell you I had no conversations. No meaning none, meaning 0 with the mayor. Well, let's just think about that for a minute. Had a lot with these guys who did exactly what I think they should have done. None with the mayor. So the one part of this whole conversation that I have heard that frustrates me is I'm not sure what it's called, how people are trying to draw this conclusion that somehow there is something untoward being done, and I think that is grossly unfair. And I think the mayor did exactly what he should have done, with probably, with not, maybe he should have said it a little more vocally. But I can assure you that that was the comment that I had from the jump. I think Commissioner McNair has done what he should have done, Commissioner Clark's done what he should have done, I'm sure Commissioner Barnhill, and everybody else has done some things. But just think that I mean, I just think that it's just silliness, it's pettiness, and it's unsubstantiated silly. I can't go there. So let's just stop for just a moment. Folks, if we can figure out a way of doing this for $500,000, I'm all in. If we can figure out how to do it for $400,000, got my vote. And so I'm without objection, I'm asking the mayor a couple questions. You hadn't signed a contract, have you?
No, sir.
So we're still in the process of figuring some of these things out. And Ms. Bates had a great point. I mean, I'm sure that that's going to be part of the process going forward, is to figure out, are there some issues that we need to make sure that we haven't uncovered. So I don't believe this is, I don't think he has a pen in his hand and a piece of paper to go write on. I think there's still some, and I'm going to use this word due diligence, that's going to have to be done. In the process of this, if somebody can come up with a proposal that says, here's how we can do it cheaper. I'm not talking about an idea. I mean, there's a lot of people who come up with ideas and say, well, yeah, let's go buy a piece of property, and then we can go get a prefabbed engineering building, and we can go do this. And those are people who live in a different world than we have to live in. We can't operate like that. That's not government. Unfortunately, I wish we could be unconstrained. And if any developer or any real estate person in this county wants to go out and buy the property, erect a building that is in some kind of condition, if they can approach the county and say, hey, here's the deal. I'm all in. Let's go look at it. I mean, that's important. None of y'all, I don't think anybody here thinks I'm one of those people who just likes going and spending money. It hadn't changed overnight. But we're not in the business of buying and selling real estate. We're not. One of the reasons I'm so glad that Carla, Commissioner Moore, brought this up. We would have. I don't even want to think about what we would have had to go through to replicate the opportunity at the Harville building from scratch. That's why it was so doggone attractive. Mm-hmm. So we realize there's not a path. We realize that there is a path that circumvents some of those obstacles that we clearly circumvented with the Harville building. There's probably some due diligence that still needs to be done, and I have every faith in the world that's going to end up happening. And if it falls apart, it falls apart. Because until the ink's dry, it ain't done. And there's only one person in this county who can sign a contract to buy property, and that's that man over there. Period. End of the story. You can't do it. I can't do it. This body collectively can't do it. It's that guy. But in the meantime, I mean, again, if somebody wants to go buy a piece of property, with or without a building on it, construct something that's more suitable, more aesthetically pleasing, more, I don't know what would be better. And we can get into that building cheaper and faster, I'm all in, because we're not in that business. The only business we're in here is to put some vehicles in a building in Pinewood, Tennessee to respond to emergencies. That's all we are. How we get there can step on a few toes, and it may even crinkle a few feathers here and there. But at the end of the day, that's all we do.
Exactly.
And so I'm not against Lanitas. I'm not for Lanitas. I wasn't against the other property. I wasn't for the other property. I was for citing some ambulances and I'm gonna get personal for just a moment. Sorry, Sheriff. Pinewood's a long way from my house. Y'all know that. I mean, I've been through the valley a few times in my years when I did a job with Dad. Dad and I had a company, we went through the valley every 5 years. Do cold counts, know what it is. That's my exposure until 18 months ago. Now, the sheriff will tell you, and my son will tell you, we don't have a lot of conversations about him being a deputy. I don't like it. In fact, sheriff will tell you, I don't like my son being a deputy. Okay? But when my son does talk to me about his job, he talks about that area. And when I realize there's 35 minutes I think it could be 35 minutes from the East Station, somebody getting a call, to somebody being over in Pinewood, and it could be my son, or your son, or your kid. And I shouldn't make it personal. I apologize for this. I don't ever do this. But I'm telling you, whether it's my son or somebody else's son,
Right.
or just a bystander, that area is void of having these services.
And we want it.
And we want it there. And I think we all collectively want that.
Yeah.
So how we can do it, if somebody has a better proposition than what's on the table, this is not Plan A. Plan A was what we couldn't afford. This is
One bid.
Plan B. And I understand that part of it. But if this is not the best deal, and we can have a different way of doing it faster, less expensive, or some cool combination of the two, I'm all in. But I have heard nobody say anything other than this is the option, other than Plan A. And for all the same reasons we did the Harville building, I can see where something like this is the way forward. So, I'm gonna, to all of those who want to Monday morning quarterback or look at the game film, yeah, that's great. But come up with a plan, not an idea, not a far-fetched idea, not something in the smoke. Say, I've got this property, this building, and there's plenty of people. There's 14 people who are listening to you, and then we can triage our way through that. Whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, we can make a logical decision. But it's not fair. A little bit what I've heard about that man back there.
It's awful.
And I will tell you right now, I think that was my lead-in comment to Commissioner Clark and Commissioner McNair when they both said this to me. But make sure you keep the mayor out of it. And to my knowledge, he's done exactly that. And that's what he should have done. We are in the business of putting ambulances, paramedics, and stationing them in Pinewood to serve the people of Hickman County. Whoever benefits or whoever doesn't benefit from that, how we do it. The only thing that we need to be looking at is, and I believe this, is the final number and the end result. The money is important. And if somebody's got a better idea or a better plan, not a better proposal that makes sense, not just some wisp of smoke idea, then bring it forward. We know what we're at right now. We know what our budget is. And we can do it. But if absent of that, then I think that the naysayers need to be careful because they just appear to be naysayers. So, I'm done.
Mr. Collins wants to speak. The county attorney would also like to speak. I assume there's no objection to that. The chairman wants to speak. The only thing about this that really bothers me is this demand for appraisals. I've dealt with appraisers. I get the deal that Delton's not like our usual appraiser. That property has been appraised at least 3 times in this room. Because the only body that can appraise the value of an ambulance building in that vicinity is us. And we've said 3 times that the value of an ambulance being in that vicinity is worth $1.5 million. We bought the ambulance, we have enough money left, we can do this, we can do what we said was worth $1.5 million, putting that ambulance in that vicinity. That whole deal of appraisal, and if you got people telling you, well, this piece of land's for sale, did you not watch what we've gone through for the last 2 years? This body, I think Keith said this, we can't replicate that for $2 million because of the way we have to play the game, because of the handcuffs that are on us. Just like the Harville building, the attractiveness of this is how easy we can move into it and transition into that. But a lot of people aren't privy to that. I'll tell the two of y'all that I'm the one that told them you better defend that vote. Is when they were said that you have to be able to defend that vote. It's me. I also told you that the biggest part of this job will not be done in this room. Is when you go back to those constituents to educate them to where they are of a level of knowledge that they can participate on what goes in this room.
Absolutely.
I think that's what you're looking for, a way to educate your constituents. You're looking for that more than a way out of your vote.
For sure.
On that, and then the chairman needs to be quiet, just Becky, there's no tanks buried on that property. The tanks out front belong to Owens Oil. They will be downsized because they're too big for the volume that Allen will be using, and there'll be one there for the sheriff, for his people to be using. They'll be greatly downsized with probably new tanks and new pumps. There's no tanks buried on the property other than the septic tank.
Okay, but how old are they and how long have they had an opportunity to possibly leak in their piping system? That would be where I would come from if I was a bank and this was a bank deal transaction, like a normal commercial property. Those questions would have to be asked. That's my point of view, since you mentioned money.
Well, that's all I've got, but then the attorneys speak after Todd.
I haven't had anybody call. Mr. Quall sent me an email. Did get that. But I did speak to several people about it. And I didn't go here. I went to people that own businesses that are respectable, wealthy. And I said, if I bought your business, what would it take to buy it? How much? He said, can't afford it. And everyone did that. And I said, so is your business worth more running in the way it is now than it would be if you could not keep that business open and you had to sell that property? He said, yeah, we're talking about two different things. Mm-hmm. He said, but when you walk in and you want to buy a man's business, it's operating and turning a profit. There's two different prices. Mm-hmm. And he said, you can't afford it. So when I look at Lanita's, and we have started this since Mayor Bentley, and where we were going to build the $3 million building, or $3 million plus, really wasn't where we wanted anyway. It just happened to be we had property there. So it goes back to that point. There was no property offered of us in Pinewood that fit the need that we had. Nobody came forward with that. But when this gentleman did, with the business that I said was profitable, he said, this is what I'll take. It fit what we needed. So therefore, and I spoke to 5 different people on businesses, and they're not going to sell it until they're ready to sell it. And this gentleman's ready to sell his business, and this is the price he wants for it, and it fit our budget in a very convenient place. So therefore, that's based off of that decision, even when you said that, the 950, I mean, that's a lot of money for firewood, but what about a business that's turning a profit every day? He's just gonna close it down and we're gonna get what we need, and here we are. Understood the cost of the price then. The vacant lot or house down the street, it's two different things, but none of that was offered to us that I know of, and Dan and I talked about it, and Mayor and several more, but there was nothing offered to us at times to it that we put there. It's like Mr. Nash said, look, that's all I want to say.
No objection to the attorney speaking, is there? Dan?
Yeah, I would just say that, you know, the process that we followed with the Harville building did involve, you know, realtors, and so in that sense, it was, you know, a more, you know, structured and, you know, I'd say more of a due diligence process than what up to now we've had in this one. And I talked with the mayor, and, you know, I said, is a realtor involved in this? And the mayor said, well, not at this point. And I said, well, you know, if you're going to have a commercial real estate contract put together, then, and you're going to have me do that, that's probably going to be more expensive than involving a realtor. But I can do it either way. So what I would say is, in my past life working for, you know, a company, when we bought commercial real estate, we went through a pretty detailed due diligence process, including when you're dealing with a gas station, you would do a phase 2, which is actually taking soil borings and going through that process to make sure you're not buying something you don't know is there. Now, you know, yeah, a gas station is pretty, you know, it's common, okay, but you know, as far as the configuration there's an easement that, you know, I think I was told there might be a little bit of an issue there in terms of how you configure the building. And so there are some things that I think we as a county would want to work through before we get to the point of actually signing a contract and proceeding. And I think that can be a process where, you know, the mayor reports back, you know, or whoever is in charge of this reports back. I'm happy to, if I'm involved with it. And, you know, here's where we are. These are the things we identified. And we don't need to slow it down big time, but, you know, it is worth dotting some of the I's and crossing the T's in this, if that's what the county court wants to do.
Yeah.
I have one more.
Oh. Is it pertinent to what we're talking about, Amanda? The safety lady would like to speak. Nobody's got a problem with that.
The safety lady.
Y'all are speaking about the urgency part of it. I get wholeheartedly crossing T's and dotting I's. But let me give you an example just as of today. We have a vehicle need us today eating lunch. Actually, Leopard, if you will. A vehicle fire came out at Pinewood and Baker. It took us roughly, because we were Johnny on the spot, they even let us borrow the fire extinguishers. And we were Johnny on the spot, get up there. It took us maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes to get from Lanitas to this location. The rescue squad was just as much Johnny as the spot as we were, and it took them additional 18 minutes to arrive on scene. So the urgency there for me is, what if someone was in that car? I mean, that's a huge response time just coming from Station 1. And like I said, they jumped in their truck almost as quick as we jumped in ours. So think about that as well, because that urgency of jumping on something and getting a building put in place, it's there. And that area needs it because it's busy.
Carter.
Thank you. Just piggyback a little bit off of Commissioner Keith, even your story. I just want to be clear. We all get we want a 3-out system. I love that phrase, because I'm learning, as I go through, I'm getting east, central, west, out system, we can hit the county. We know it, we need it. No one's saying we don't. The point of tonight's conversation was to bring forward more discussion about how we get here, so that, and I like how you said it, Commissioner Danny, so that not only we can be more educated, that I can use this to educate the constituents that are calling in, that are writing in, that are texting in, so we can elevate the discussion and the exchanges that we're having with the constituents. And Monday night, we didn't have enough of that. Just this conversation alone has helped with that. I've already gotten 5 texts. We need to hear this tonight. We need to hear this. Thank you for putting it on YouTube tonight. Well, streaming. No one's saying we didn't need it in Pinewood, and please don't print that. We know we need it. Pinewood, the vote is in, and yes, we believe we needed it. What we were trying to get underneath was the process, the ability to, not the ability, the conversation around infusing more just transparency and objectivity in our process, thinking through just what our attorney just said. Guys, wait a minute, it's not signed yet. There's some things, there's some due diligence we need to do before we actually sign. There's no pen in hand. That's typically what you do before we even talk about a pen in hand. But we're not there at this point. So we gotta take the due diligence part now, post the vote. So now we're gonna take these steps. We're gonna be clear, and I'm gonna do my part to be transparent. And Commissioner Keith's second point, I don't have a piece of land, I don't have an idea or an actual proposal. And I don't know who does. And I don't think that that's where this was trying to go, as much as what we have going is good. Let's keep this thing as open and transparent, and the more we do, the less he has to take. So yes, I hated that how people have been talking about Jim's family through this. It's horrible. That's not necessary in the discussion. Stick with the facts. What is it called? Environmental Phase 1 report. Do we have it? Now, did I know that phrase before tonight? No. But what's Phase 2 look like? Do we have it? Do we have?
You do some borings.
Do we need boards? Do we need the? These are stepping through the boxes to check as we go through. Let's talk about it. I'm going to understand it more and educate my constituents in a way that our conversations are much more elevated. We're on the path. We're already in it. We see the path forward to our Pinewood station. Let's continue to check boxes, dot I's, cross T's, cover bases, be as open as we can so people don't have to make up their own stories. I don't have a story to make. There's nothing for me to hide. We shouldn't even have to talk through that, except this notion that, guys, we do have a situation. We do have a situation with the mayor having, there is a personal connection with the seller. And as a result, you all, he is being removed from this process. From this day forward, now that Lanitas is on the table, the mayor has been removed. Speak that clearly and forward about it, so people don't have to make the stories up. And if we felt that there could be some sensitivity around this deal, then we should have doubled down, tripled down on whatever it takes to make us, and when I say us, community at large, feel, you know what, they got it. They got it. They know where they're going with this thing. So thank you, Chairman, for giving us room to talk more about it tonight. And I do believe that we will move through this process. And I'm going to make sure that with my scope of responsibility, because I don't know anything about commercial buildings, but I am learning. But through my scope of responsibility, I'll do my part to continue to elevate the conversations and connections I have with my constituents so that our conversations can be more rich and more deep and not something characterized as silly or petty. Nobody wants to have that type of conversation. This is a serious matter. We got $1 million that we've got to spend in a month where we were scraping the barrel to manage our budget. People don't know we have 2 different buckets we're working through, so I'm educating people on that. So, but without the clarity, without the clarifying points, people think it's all one budget, one bucket. So they're trying to process the optics. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel over here, but you're willing to give $1 million on this in the same month. We're doing that work. We're doing that work. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Collins?
I think Mr. Claus has had a meeting. No, you go right ahead. You go right ahead, because right now I'm debating whether I need to say a word. I just want to make sure that we're not skipping these steps that we skipped on the Harville building. I mean, it all came down to where the MAD approved it, everybody that was there. Once the mayor was given that process, there were people involved outside of us that handled all these things, was it not? I mean, we're not skipping any of that, are we?
Well,
There's a process that we have to go through, that, that's where we're headed, is it not? We can't do it. That's the way I look at it, if I'm wrong. And that's
Okay.
made it easy to vote the other night, but it's sometimes hard to explain that when you, what makes you confident. But I did not take it that we were skipping anything that we did with the Harville building.
Claude?
No, sir.
Devin?
I will say that I felt like, and now hearing all this information, and a lot of things you have said have helped me, and Mayor, Attorney, Safety Lady with the urgency. I completely agree with everything that Ms. Moore has said, Carla. There's nobody arguing the fact that there needs to be this in Pinewood, 100%. I apologize to the mayor for how you have been, this has affected you. But the fact of the matter is, when we discussed this, you and I have talked about it, is that in your position, you can do all that you possibly can to remove yourself from a project, and there's going to be some that will never be convinced otherwise. So you know that going into it. You just know that. I feel like we kind of got the cart before the horse. If I had heard all this the other night, it would have maybe helped me to explain a little bit too. And I hope y'all don't think that we're making this up. I can show you text messages, emails. I could give you a list of people that have come by to talk to me, and I don't know why they felt the need to come. If y'all have not received much, I don't know why.
I have an idea.
But at any rate, now I completely understand what you said, Commissioner Clark, about could you duplicate that for that kind of I get it. I'm not even in the real estate business, and I understand that. And for our purposes, so this is not going to satisfy everybody, but it does help give me some clarity. And I very much appreciate y'all's understanding. I know this has drug this meeting out, but I think we don't know unless we ask. And I apologize for it, causing this meeting to go as long as it has, but it's helped me a lot. Appreciate Casey being here and live streaming it, because I know there's a lot of folks watching. And there may be more questions. And to your point, Mr. Nash, they've seen it. You said, hey, if you know a better property, let us know. It's for anybody to lay it out there. But to the urgency part, that really clicked with me. I get that. So I don't know how you balance all that, but I appreciate everybody here and everybody's passion about it. And I think if we all put that passion in the same direction, good things happen. And thank all of you for your part in this little conversation. And thank you for allowing us to do it.
Thank you.
I don't see any more hands. That was actually the last item on the agenda.
Take a motion to adjourn?
I have a motion to adjourn from Commissioner Nash, seconded by Mr. Jordan.
All in favor?
Favorite or not, we're set.
Favor or not? We out of here. I think I nobody's ever told me, but I thought there is a level of accessibility that people, approachability that people have, I think the fact that we have a presence, those are social, half of my kids